she won't join us.
Okay. Welcome to this evening's Carmel Clay Board of Parks and Recreation. Today is Tuesday, August 11th. Jonathan, will you please call roll?
Yes. Andrew Bradford. Absent. Jim Garrettson.
Present.
Jen Christunis.
Here.
Kristen Koka.
Present.
Katie Mueller.
Present.
Reedy Shukla. Mark Westermeyer.
Present.
Madam President, you have a quorum.
Fantastic. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:04, and we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
By yourself.
Okay. Curtis, we'll start with public comments. Do you have any public comment cards this evening?
Madam President, no members of the public fill out a public comment card, therefore we have no one to present.
Okay, thank you for that. We'll move to staff reports.
Staff reports are included in your packets. As always, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Wanted to point out, one of the articles included is a program that we've been offering at the community center for a number of years called the Preschool Splash Bash. If you have a child that's preschool age, 6 and younger, we do have a couple of opportunities for you to bring those children out to the water park. A couple of Mondays in August. So we have 2 more of those remaining, August 17th and 24th. Admission is $18. Parents get in free with a child. And we'd love to see you there. So not the entire water park isn't open during the preschool splash bash. It's just the kiddie pool, activity pool, and the lazy river. But it's a great opportunity for parents to get out there with their preschool age children and just experience it without the hustle and bustle of a normal water park day. So just wanted to make sure I made a plug for that. Yes, sir, Mr. Garrettson.
Just a question. The schools start Wednesday,
Schools, Carmel's Clay schools are back in session beginning tomorrow.
tomorrow, and is the pool then going to be closed during the week?
Correct. We just pivoted to our postseason hours, so we're only open on weekends right now from noon to 6. And then our last day will be on Labor Day, Monday, September 7th, noon to 6. We'd love to see you out there. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions? Okay. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move into our committees. Finance Committee.
Finance Committee met and approved a recommendation, unanimously approved a recommendation to recommend to the Park Board to approve the 2027 budget and accept the salaries and wages as they're presented.
Thanks for that. And then we'll hear the budget later today in our new business section, correct, Curtis? Thank you. We'll move on to the minutes.
Madam President, I move that we approve the minutes from July 14, 2026, the regular Park Board meeting, and then the special meeting on July 21st, 2026.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of approving Jonathan's motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll move to the financial reports to the treasurer.
I move to accept the consolidated financial report for June 2026 and the Carmel Clay payroll for July 10th, 2026 and July 24th, 2026.
Are we going to do the financial reports first? Are we doing, are we doing the reports and the,
P&L statements all as one, yes.
oh, sorry, I thought you said payroll. Did he say payroll?
Oh, did I say payroll? Well, I should have said P&L.
Sorry.
But payroll would be great too, so.
So the consolidated financial report for June of 2026 and the
Yes.
P&L
And P&L
statement.
statements for July.
Thank you.
I think I dropped down one line when I was reading it.
No problem. We just need a second.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions for the financial report or the P&L statements? Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Claims, Treasurer.
I move to approve the claim sheet for August 2026, as well as the Carmel Clay payroll for July 10th, 2026, and July 24th, 2026.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions as it relates to claim or payroll? Okay. No questions. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, claims are approved. Moving to monetary gifts, grants, partnerships, and sponsorships for July. Eric.
Thank you. Pretty simple one this month. We just had one donation of $100 from our anonymous donor towards staff appreciation.
Thank you. I'll take a motion.
I move that we accept the donation as presented and thank the donor for their contribution.
Second.
Thank you, Jonathan. Any questions? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Motion carries. We'll move down to new business. First is the consideration of 2027 operating budgets. Curtis?
Thank you, Madam President. As Mark noted, we did present our budget proposal to the full Finance Committee in July at a meeting on July 21st. We did receive a unanimous recommendation from the Finance Committee, and here we are tonight to present the budget, 2027 proposed budget to the full Park Board. I did want to recognize we have several division directors here this evening. Jennifer Brown. Jen, if you can just raise your hand. She's our Extended School Enrichment Summer Camp Series Director. We also have Mike Norman, our Recreation and Facilities Director, and also Michael Allen, our Parks and Natural Resources Director. They're going to help provide any additional context that we need with regards to their respective budgets. They'll actually present, Jennifer and Mike will present their the 108, 109, and 110 funds this evening. And as I'm presenting the 101 fund and the 101, 1101 cash account fund, I encourage you to ask me a ton of questions so that Michael Allen actually has to get up here and speak this evening. There are going to be plenty of opportunities for questions. The one thing I request every year is if you can hold your question until the end of the slide. That does make presenting substantially easier because it's really hard to come back and try and figure out where you were in the presentation and try to make sense of it. If you can't hold your question, completely understand. But if you can hold it, that would be phenomenal. Without further ado, do we have any questions before we go to the next slide? All right, I had to ask, so let's see. Let's get into the nuts and bolts of the 2027 proposed budget. Total proposed expenditures in 2027 for all budgets combined is $25,473,114. And this can really be broken down into what I'm calling two buckets: operating expenditures and capital expenditures. Our operating expenditures comprise of things like staffing, supplies, and services to the department. That total proposed budget this year is $22,215,324, and capital comprises $3,257,790, and these are funds that we need to complete planned capital improvement projects throughout the park system. The department enterprise funds, so these are otherwise known as the ESC 108 fund, the MCC 109 fund, and the Rec Facilities 110 fund. All of our non-reverting budgets are projected to generate income totaling just over $15 million. And as proposed, all three budgets are projected to achieve over 100% cost recovery, which is the mandate by the Park Board. The 2027 Fund 101 and the 103-1101 cash account request, the City of Carmel, those are the two funds that the City of Carmel completely provides all of the funding for. That request this year is $7,824,650, and I'm going to discuss those two a little bit more in depth here in just a little bit. And then approximately $2,581,634 of the total expenses are attributed to budget appropriation request for existing but unappropriated dollars in non-reverting Park Capital Fund 103, cash account 1103, and the park impact fee 106. Both of those counts again are non-reverting, and both of those budgets do require approval by both the park board and the city council. But because we have funds available in them, we have cash reserves, they don't require any additional funds from the city of Carmel. Again, the 1103 cash account, I just want to point out to the park board, those are funds that we receive from local income tax from Clay Township, and then the park impact fees obviously are funds received from park impact fees affiliated with our zone improvement plan. Any questions so far? Gonna keep moving right along. I'll be your host for the next hour or so, so keep it going. Let's talk about the general fund 101 request. This fund is solely funded by the city of Carmel, as I just mentioned. I do want to point out that we have received finally some initial guidance from the city of Carmel. I don't suspect that you're going to hear or that we're going to have many additional changes beyond this evening. But if we were, the one that we would likely have would be increasing the amount that we have budgeted for health insurance premiums, because we were told early on in the budget process that that would be something that might increase. So what I've done is I did include a provision in the resolution that you approve a little bit later this evening that would allow Michael and I to make an adjustment to the general fund budget, which would be a good thing because it would increase if something changes. And then obviously we would communicate that information back to the finance committee and the full park board at a later meeting. With that said, our total proposed general fund budget request for 2027 is $7,148,494. That is a 6% or $410,661 increase from the 2026 budget. Our top 5 expenses are personnel, making up 62% of our budget at $4,417,994. We are budgeted for 34 full-time positions in 2027, which is the same number of full-time personnel that we have in 2026. Grounds maintenance makes up 12% of the budget request, or $883,188. This includes your contracted mowing and landscaping services. Utilities makes up 5%, or $388,550. This is going to be electric, natural gas, water, sewer, cable, phone, and trash. Other contractual services makes up 5%, or $339,015. Majority of this line item is our Park Resource Officer program, which has been a phenomenal program, has gotten rave reviews from both staff and the community. So we want to continue that program. And then other rentals and leases makes up 2% of our budget request at $129,382. As most of you know, we do still have a lease vehicle program through Enterprise Fleet Management. We will be able to trade in one vehicle, which was proposed this year. So that's great news, because there was, I think, a question at one point in time if we'd be able to continue that program. The short answer to that is yes, we will be. That top 5 total is $6,158,129. It makes up 86% of our total budget request for 2027. Any questions so far? And keep moving along. Let's talk about what's driving the increase. Grounds maintenance, we've requested an additional $55,000 in 2027. There are a couple of priority landscape improvements that we want to address in next year's budget, including raising some planting beds along the Monon Boulevard that have began to settle. So there's a bit of a drop off along the Monon Greenway. There's some evergreens that we want to replace in the chat zone, which is just north of just north of Sun King. And then we want to establish a pollinator prairie and do some invasive species management within the Eastern Panhandle easement, which is a property that the city of Carmel acquired just west of Spring Mill Road and along 136th Street last year. We have that under a management agreement. It is currently established as a prairie. The Dad's Club owned it previously. And what we've talked about is establishing that as a pollinator prairie, just to make it a little bit more, enjoyable to view and get some more forbs and stuff going out there. We've requested an additional $34,560 for part-time staffing needs. Really, this is just right-sizing our part-time staff. Last year, when we added some custodial staff, if you remember, we moved some of our support services into the 108 and the 109 non-reverting funds, and then we also eliminated a handful of part-time staff. What we've learned is we need to bring some of those staff back, particularly one year-round part-time staff member and 2 seasonal staff, just to help with continue park system expansion, increased visitation that we're having in our parks, and then natural resource management responsibilities that we've taken on and we continue to thrive at. General insurance, we request an additional $25,000 in our 2027 budget. The big thing is, again, additional amenities that we're bringing on, and we had a barn fire, so I do suspect that we're going to have a little bit of a more expensive premium this next year. Our subscription software request increased by $17,800. If you remember, earlier this year, the park board approved converting our EcoLogic people counters in our parks to what we used to have to collect the data manually. Now it's cloud hosted. There is a subscription cost affiliated with that. The city has agreed to provide us an additional $17,800 for that purpose. We've budgeted an additional $16,500 for building repairs and maintenance. The biggest contributor for this request was repainting of two-wheeler safety railing along the Monine Greenway Bridge that crosses Carmel Drive. It's just the paint started to chip off, and we want to preserve the integrity of that railing over the long term. If you add those items up, they represent approximately $148,867 of the additional $410,661 request we're making in our 2027 budget. And the remainder of that increase, the difference between those two, is really attributable to personnel, particularly pay increases and then associated payroll taxes and different stuff like that. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have regarding the general fund budget request. Perfect. Moving on. Really wish you'd ask a question. I want to get Michael Allen up here at some point. So as long as it's a question he can answer. Our Park Capital Fund 103-1101 cash account. Total proposed budget request is $676,156, an increase of $337,966 from our 2026 request. Again, the sole purpose of this funding source is for capital improvements of the park and recreation system. And just like the general fund budget request, the 1101 cash account is fully funded by the city of Carmel. Again, we've received preliminary feedback, and I'm going to talk about some of the changes towards the latter end of this slide. But I think right now we feel pretty good about this request as it currently stands. We've requested funding for several projects, including continued Monine Greenway improvements to the tune of $60,000. As you remember, in our 2026 budget, we started doing some gravel shoulder repairs along the Monine Greenway. We want to continue that from Henshaw Preserve to the Greyhound Trail. And then the Rotary Fountain Plaza, the liner is starting to fill. You can kind of see it in this photo where the water's seeping out. We have $10,000 budgeted to conduct some repairs on that. We're proposing an additional $304,056 for Founders Park. We've had some consistent and growing community interest in expanding cricket opportunities within our park system. Currently, we don't have any. When we've had friendlies and some of those different things, they've transpired at West Park. We've met with residents that have been leading some outreach efforts for this purpose. Councilor Anita Josie has been involved in this process as well. What they're really looking for is just some space to conduct, cricket to come together and play it recreationally. What we did was we evaluated several options just to figure out if there was a space that we could convert into a cricket pitch. And what we identified was that the existing multi-use fields at Founders Park really could serve that purpose. And they provide a really cost-effective solution. So what we're proposing is modifying the current rugby lacrosse fields at Founders so that they can also accommodate cricket. And so this is kind of a rendering of that. It's kind of hard to see maybe from your seats, but these are the two existing rugby lacrosse fields. The proposed cricket pitch would we remove the trees and the asphalt path and put it in the middle so that the field could still be used for rugby lacrosse and also cricket. So it would still serve the intent of its original purpose, which was as a multi-use fields, but it could also serve as a fully functional cricket pitch as well. So initially we weren't sure if that would be kept in the budget, but the mayor's office, when Michael presented it to the mayor, it's something that I think that they're interested in us installing, and I think it would serve the residents well. Other structure improvements, we've asked for $210,000. These are really things that we've continued to budget for the last several years, like hazard trees invasive species management, concrete repairs, parking lot restriping, and crack filling at multiple park locations. So nothing crazy with that. Furniture and fixtures, same thing. This just supports refurbishment and replacement of park furnishings along Monon Boulevard, just that we can maintain a high quality visitor experience. So also included that in the budget. And then we have some existing capital leases that the park boards approved this year. These are existing lease payments for the trail counters, Monon Greenway Phase 2 signage, which I'll bring to the park board for approval next month. And then the Central Parks security infrastructure upgrades that we made in 2026. All of those were approved as part of the 2026 budget process. And these payments are going to continue on for the next 5 years because they are capital leases. I also want to mention that our original capital request and what we presented to the Finance Committee had several additional projects in it, like repaving the Central Park Drive East. We also have some repaving that we need to do the loop trails at Founders Park and also to the Central Park Lagoon. In addition to replacing some lights within the Monon Greenway US 31 tunnel. During the city's budget review, they did ask that we remove those from our budget. But the good news is that I do think that those projects will transpire in 2027. They've just asked or they're going to include those or have the street department help us facilitate those. So I don't know, Michael, if you want to chime in or add anything to that, but I feel pretty optimistic about it.
No, the city's finance department and the mayor's office were both supportive of those, appear to understand the need for those. They're just hoping that we can collectively as a community secure better pricing by including that asphalt work within the city's street bidding process. So, and it would be, they also believe this is a means by which at least some of those might be able to use MVH funds as opposed to property taxes. So just, I think the city trying to be more creative in providing funding for these type of projects, especially given the realities of municipal government financing under SEA 1.
Yeah, we also conveyed to them some of the drainage issues that we're having along Central Park Drive East. So I think that there's going to be hopefully a good faith effort to get all those projects taken care of in 2027. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions on the non-reverting park capital fund 103-1101 budget request.
One other item I'd like to mention, both for the general fund and this 103-1101, we did get favorable support from the mayor. Whenever we are talking about tax dollars, our tax budgets, we're always presenting what we're requesting to the mayor as well as to the park board's finance committee and here to the park board. It's important to have both the park board and the mayor's consent on these budgets because without the mayor's consent, it really can't go forward to the city council. So
That's correct, yeah.
Mayor Finkham and her team are supportive of what's been presented to you tonight. If
no questions, we'll move on. Oh, go ahead.
Quick question. On the Rotary Fountain, I used to live near there and I remember it being repaired. It seems like it's a frequently in need of repair.
Yeah, we completed repairs, I feel like pre-COVID, like pre-2020. I don't remember everything that we did, but we have had to, make a few repairs on it. And the city's always provided us, funding assistance with.
How
with
long
making those
will the liner last? Is it supposed to last, do you think?
Do you know how long it'll last?
I can get back to you on that.
Okay.
You don't want to get up and present now?
Mr. Garrettson.
Have you taken, I'm having trouble keeping my paperwork up with you.
Sure.
I'm having trouble keeping my paperwork up with you. But have you covered, I'm looking at an item 4341999. Have you covered that yet?
That's a specific line item or a GL?
Yeah,
Is it
it's
depends
other
on which budget.
professional fees.
I likely have. Is it $309,500?
No, it's 268,000.
He's looking at the
It's
wrong fund.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
looking at the wrong one. Fund 108.
Okay, that's actually next, and
Okay,
Jennifer's
I'll
going to
wait.
present that.
I'll wait.
Perfect. If no further questions on this one, we'll keep moving right along. And I'll call up Jennifer Brown.
Can you hear me now? Perfect. Okay, I'm here to present the ESE Fund 108 budget proposal. So in the 108 fund, our expected revenues are $6,636,000 and expected expenses $6,594,710. That is a cost recovery of 101%. So looking at our expenses, those are the top 5 expenses from our Fund 108 budget. And the very top is personnel, accounts for 71% of those top 5 expenses, $4,686,540. This is 29 full-time positions supported within that expense. Coming in at 8% are field trips and bus rentals, so that's $514,170. And these are the field trips, trips to the water park, local attractions that we take the campers to during our summer camp season. Facility rentals account for 4% of our top 5 expenses, or $288,650. This is money that is paid to the R&F Fund for use of the MCC Will Fong Pavilion and Jill Perlman Pavilion during the summer months. We also use this to pay Carmel Dads Club for use of Aledo Family Sports Complex and the middle school facilities that we pay for Carmel Clay schools during summer camp as well. And it also includes the lease of our wonderful office space here at the Hensel Government Center. Other professional fees account for 4% of our top 5 expenses. These are payment processing fees, payroll fees, bookkeeping services. 2% of our top 5 expenses go to food supplies. So these are breakfast and snack that we pay Carmel Clay schools during the delivery of our before and after school programs. And then so far as our revenue sources go, we essentially have 2 sources of revenue. The largest, accounting for 68.4% of total revenue, are fees used for before and after school program, fees collected. And then 30% goes to summer camp fees. And then everything else accounts for about 1.5% of our top revenue sources. The 26-27 school year represents the 21st year of the Extended School Enrichment Program. Last year, during ESE, we served approximately 2,269 students in that program, and we're very much on track to serve a similar number in the 26-27 school year. This past summer, 2026, we served 9,216 camper enrollments through our summer camp series. Any questions for me? Yes, sir.
Item 999 is other professional fees, and it's $268,000. What are those fees?
Sure. Other professional fees.
Ken, did you shut your microphone off?
Did I?
No, you're just away from it.
Okay, sorry about that.
Hey, Jen, you covered it in your top 4. It's your number 4 expense. It's going to be credit card processing, bookkeeping, fees, and some of those different things. Jim, the way that I like to explain this one is the more money we make, the higher other professional fees end up being for the department. For every transaction that we process, we actually have to pay a credit card processing fee. And so basically, the way that we figure up other professional fees is based off the revenue generated. So that $268,000 and $268,025 is affiliated with, predominantly it's credit card processing fees that we pay to Easy Child Track, which is our our software that we use for enrollment.
Well, there was software was on here. It was less than that, but.
Yeah, there are fees paid towards the software provider as well that we have to pay, but that's just to use their software. So this is actually paid to the credit card processing company.
Most of this 268,000 goes to a credit card company.
Yeah, there's a percentage fee per transaction for every credit card payment that we process, and most people nowadays pay with credit cards. So the beautiful thing about it is when we're determining what we're going to charge someone, those fees are factored into the fees that we set for the program. So we're capturing those fees in our registrations.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Norman.
Thanks so much.
Good evening. I think I'm still on here. Bear with me.
You can go right off of this if you want to.
So you're going to, all right, thank you. All right, good evening. I am Mike Normand, Director of Recreation and Facilities. So we'll be running through the 109, the MCC Fund, and the 110 Parks and Rec Facilities Fund. So starting with the MCC Fund, as you can see, proposed revenues, $8,279,280 against proposed expenses of $8,220,542 for a cost recovery of 101%. Okay. You want me to throw it up there? Okay. All right, so we'll just go into the top 5 revenues. So memberships, $4,983,200. So that's going to include all of our annual, monthly, and seasonal memberships. Our day passes and our 10 punch visit passes, $1,655,580. Vast majority of that is water park usage. Last calculation was roughly 80%. Recreation program fees, $717,000. All of our preschool, youth, adult wellness programming, including all of our contracted programming. Concessions and vending, $290,000. And then rounding it out, aquatic program fees, $230,000. So top 5 total, $7,875,780, or 95%. 84% of that revenue is going to be membership and attendance driven. So top 5 expenses, personnel, $4,517,557. So the the MCC funds, 20 full-time positions, which is the proposed 27, which is the exact same as this year, 2026. Utilities, $724,500. Exactly what it sounds like: gas, water, sewer, etc. Repairs and maintenance, $554,500. Cleaning services, $411,235. Large chunk of that is our contracted cleaning services. And then rounding that out is marketing and printing, $302,500. All of our promotional and public relations materials. Top 5 total expenses, $6,509,792, 79% of the budget. Any questions on that? Yes, sir.
What percentage of our expenses are funded by taxes?
For this fund, 0.
This is 0.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I do want to point one other thing out that has nothing to do with the budget. And Mike, I apologize if I'm stealing your thunder, but next year, 2027, will be the 20th anniversary of the Monon Community Center and the water park. So It is a milestone year, and it's, for some of us, it seems like just yesterday when it opened, but it's hard to believe. It will soon be 20 years old.
Yes, thank you. We are all very excited about that. I don't know if anyone on my team has been around for the full 20 years, but I have been around since 2009, so pretty close. So I'm excited for that. All right, so moving into the 110 Park and Recreation Facilities Fund. Proposed revenues of $262,960 against proposed expenses, $251,578. I would note any extra proceeds, profit in this fund, we would just use for future capital expenses, flooring, wall, lighting, shade structures, things of that nature. This would be the pavilions in the dog park. So top three revenues, dog park fees, $122,460. That's roughly 785 dog park memberships. That's ballooned up to about 800 at its peak. So a healthy dog park. Facility rentals, $69,000. I believe, as Jen Brown noted, a large chunk of that comes from summer camp fees that we recover for them to use Jill Perlman and Wilfong pavilions. And then park shelter rentals, $60,000 for a total of $251,460. Top five expenses, as you can see here. So repairs and maintenance, $44,450. Utilities, $39,050. General insurance, $33,500. Cleaning services, again, those porter services, $26,500. And then part-time personnel needed for dog park operations and shelter rentals, $19,378 for a total of that type 5 total is $162,878 or 65%. Any questions on that?
Mike, do we still have a long waiting list for the dog park?
We do have a wait list. A lot that are on it would agree that it is long, yes. We do 2 large registration events where we try to move through a couple hundred people at a time. So we do have movement on our wait list, is the good news. But, you know, at 800 members and without physical expansion, it would be difficult to allow too many more of those in too quickly. So we're still looking through the logistics of, you know, how many we can get in versus what maintenance costs then will rise, or what's the condition of the park going to be. So long answer to yes, there's a good wait list, but we're still evaluating if there's anything we can do to expedite that.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
And one of the things I always like, and I've had this conversation with several people in the public, is, you know, people will say, hey, I went by the dog park and there was no one there, so why can't you get more people in? It's not how many people are there at any one given second. It's the collective use of the dog park, which drives what we allow in there. If we get too many total users, that wear and tear over time will absolutely degrade it and make it a mud mess. That's what we learned from other communities that have dog parks that had too many members. And so that's why we've always taken a more measured approach to ensure that the number of dog members we have is closely aligned, or as closely aligned as we can, with the carrying capacity of the space. As a department, we are continuing to look at opportunities to further expand the dog park, so there might be an opportunity to go through a little bit more. But again, as we generate more revenue, have more net income from this, then that gives us the funds to be able to make that next move. But yeah, Mike and his team, and Michael Allen and his team, who does the maintenance of it, really do a phenomenal job to keep that a first-rate facility, and the people that are in it really appreciate it.
Yes. All right, thank you. And I agree. Thank you to Michael Allen and his team.
All right, at this time, looking for approval of a couple of resolutions. If we can turn it back over to you, Jen, for a second.
I think we are around page, after page 97, 1 second. 82. Oh, 82. Yeah.
I move to approve Resolution B 2026-006 and Resolution B 2025-007.
Be 2026-007. So if I mess that up on the cover sheet, that's my fault.
Okay, there's two listed.
The second one should be
007.
Resolution B 2026-007. I may have wrote that down
Oh,
wrong.
I see. I see. Okay. Do I need to repeat the whole thing?
Yep.
Okay. I move to approve Resolution B 2026-006, and I move to approve Resolution B 2026-007.
Second.
Any further questions regarding these two resolutions? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to consideration of the 2027 budget appropriations.
Thank you, Madam President. This agenda item is for budget appropriations for the Park Capital Fund 103, the 1103 cash account, and also the 106 Park and Recreation Impact Fee Fund. Again, both of these budgets do require approval by the Park Board and the Council, but the budget request is to appropriate funds from cash reserves. We do have funds in the bank, so there's no additional funds needed from the City of Carmel. We'll start with the Park Capital Fund 103, 1103 cash account. Total appropriation request is $600,000 for 2027. Again, the 1103 cash account funds were received from local income tax received from Clay Township, and funds can only be used for capital repair and replacement projects. Can be used for any capital repair and replacement project planned as part of park system-wide. The first project is some improvements at River Heritage Park, including for around $20,000. If you've been out there, the playground equipment, the orange paint on the playground equipment has started to fade, so we want to bring that back up to its original luster. So we've proposed $20,000 to complete some repairs on that. We have $175,000 budgeted for Central Park. This is to repair the boardwalks, which are original to the park. But if you've been in the Sioux Dillon Woods, those boardwalks are original. They need a little tender love and care. So we're going to complete some boardwalk repairs. And we also have some native plant installations in the wetlands planned for 2027 as well. We have $25,000 budgeted for West Park, predominantly to replace the benches, which they just need to be updated. They're a little deteriorated. They've outlived their useful life. And then our department has a new trash can lid standard, so we want to get that updated as well, just so that it kind of meets the current standard of the department. We have $80,000 planned for improvements to the White River Corridor. One of the challenges of the new Burr Oak Bridge is that in the winter, we don't have a piece of equipment that can make the turn on the switch packs. So we are proposing a piece of Ventrac equipment, or this piece of equipment right here, which basically pivots in the middle and would allow our team to navigate those radiuses. That way we can plow it during winter, plow it a little bit more effectively and efficiently during winter snow events. And also, we would also use this for snow removal along the rest of the White River Corridor as well. And then last but not least, we have $300,000 planned for what we're calling other structure improvements. So this is just really park-wide infrastructure needs of the department, including some bike rack and AED cabinet replacements, some splash pad and playground repairs. I feel like this is one that we never quite have enough money for. Every year, there's always, something with water and Carmel and some different things. There's always something that needs to be repaired. So we've included some funds for that. We want to upgrade the signage along the Hagenberg Greenway. And then we also have some money set aside for just unforeseen things that pop up through the year. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions with this appropriation request.
Any questions? Sorry. Any questions? Okay, seeing none, I will take,
Madam
sorry.
President, I'm gonna go through Park Capital Fee Fund 106, and then we'll try to get that resolution passed.
Yep.
Total appropriation request for Park Impact Fee 106 in 2027 is $1,981,634. Again, funds received from this fund are from Park Impact fees, and funds can only be used for new capital capital development within the park department. You can't use it for repairs and replacements to existing infrastructure. We really have two projects planned. $1,296,840 for construction of the White River Greenway South Extension, which would connect Hazel Landing Park to Hazeldale Parkway, to the Hazeldale Parkway Perimeter Trail just south of the solar field. This is what we believe the full cost of that project will be. I think we notified the park board that we received a $400,000 grant from the Indiana Department of Natural Resources. We're going to provide all of the funds up front, the full almost $1.3 million, but keep in mind that at the end or the latter part of the project, we will be reimbursed that $400,000 from the DNR, and we'll put that back into the Park Impact Fee Fund. And then last but not least, we have $684,794 budgeted for Bear Creek Park. And really what this is funding is the direct purchase of the playground equipment from Landscape Structures. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have with regards to our appropriation request for 2027.
Are there any questions for Curtis?
I had a question. I mean, recall. We have these salaries increased. Has this chart increased?
Sorry, Jim, we're on the resolutions for the park impact, not on salaries yet.
Oh, I thought you were on salaries. I'm sorry.
That's up
okay.
next. Yep.
So I don't have, if we don't have any questions about the appropriations, I will take a motion. If someone wants to make a motion combining both the resolutions, that'd be fantastic.
I move to approve Resolution B 2026-008 and Resolution B 2026-009.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of the two resolutions or the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Moving on now, Curtis, sorry. Consideration of Resolution B 2026-010, the establishing the salary and wages.
Thank you, Madam President. This evening, I'm asking the Park Board to consider the 2027 proposed salary resolution. And if approved, this would go into effect January 1st, 2027. I think everybody's on the Park Board and is aware that every 3 years our department conducts a comprehensive salary assessment where we benchmark salary and wage information with other local park departments. We also look at this from on a regional, a local, and a regional and a national perspective as well. And then we also compare salaries and wages to the city of Carmel. We completed our last study in 2025 for the 2026 budget, or sorry, in 2024 for the 2025 budget. And then next year we'll complete an updated study. So we'll complete one for the 2028 budget. Now, if you're asking yourself why this matters, well, that salary study is what really helps us determine the logic behind what we're proposing every year, including this year. And one thing I also want to point out is that the salary resolution does not represent what an employee actually makes, but what it actually does is it establishes a minimum and a maximum that someone's salary or wage can fall within. All of our staff are above the minimum pay for their respective positions, and a vast majority of our staff actually make below the maximum for their positions. A lot of them are somewhat in the middle. We do have a few of them that are at the upper echelon of their pay, but most of them fall somewhere kind of in between. There aren't a lot of changes proposed in the 2027 salary resolution request, but we are recommending continued implementation of the recommendations that were made in our last salary assessment, which was to continue increasing the maximum compensation of all employees by the Consumer Price Index. And what we do is we look at, it's a 1-year look back period in May of every year. And that rate was 4.2%. So what this means is that effectively the maximum salaries and wages for every position would increase by 4.2%, and that all of our staff would be eligible based on a performance appraisal for an up to 4% pay increase in 2027. Again, it's not a given that they get a 4% increase, but they would at least be eligible for a 4% increase because all of the maximum salaries would increase by that 4.2%. Additionally, one of the things that we included in the last salary assessment was we actually didn't have minimum salaries and wages established. We established that for the first time in 2025. So we do have minimum salaries established for our full-time staff, but those minimum salaries increase by 1% on an annual basis, no matter what. And really the reason for that is because of salary compression that we have with our highest earning part-time staff and our lowest earning full-time positions. So we increased that minimum by 1% just to keep the delineation between the part-time staff and the full-time staff. So those are the two recommendations. Increase the maximum salaries by 4.2%, increase the minimum salaries and wages by 1%. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Mr. Garrettson.
Here on the maximum, how many of these positions are at the max?
I say department-wide, less than 10 staff members make the maximum salary for their position.
10 out of 60-some?
Out of 83.
Of 83.
Most of those staff members are long tenured, have been with the department for a long time, or they've been promoted into positions and are high achievers and have earned or worked their way into that max pay.
How do these salaries compare to other cities?
We're in pretty good shape. That's a big part of the salary study that we do every 3 years. We look at, what other local park departments, and then we look at a national level, how our salaries and wages compare. And the last time we did this, we made some minor adjustments, but all of our staff were compensated very fairly compared to the benchmarks that we looked at.
Do you have a fixed criteria in terms of requirements? For instance, in teaching, it's amount of education you have and how many years you've taught.
For establishing, when you first are employed by the department and we establish your salary or wage for the first time, we do have a wage worksheet that we look at that helps us make an educated decision on what we think your starting salary or wage should be. But there's always a negotiation process between the employee and staff. If they think that that's too low, they may negotiate a higher rate. And there have been times where we've had to walk away because what's being requested is just too high and we can't meet that demand. But most of the time, I feel like we do a pretty good job of finding a happy median with whoever we're hiring.
We're paying pretty well.
We do pay well. Well, it'll be interesting to see kind of where we fall, the next time we complete the salary study, which will be next year. We'll update it and if we need to make additional adjustments, we will. And if we feel that we're still in line with where we should be, we'll leave it as status quo. It just will depend on kind of where things land. I would say that in looking at local and national and even like regional park departments, I think it's comparable. And, I think when you're a national gold medal winning CAPRA accredited agency, to get those top staff members from some of those top departments, you've got to pay better than the competitors, right? Because everybody's your competition. I think there are some additional adjustments, honestly, that could be made with what some of the City of Carmel staff make. Some of them make pretty decent money for what their positions entail. And I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but we do have, many of our divisions have a cost recovery mandate, and I feel like that adds additional pressures to some of the positions within our department. But I feel pretty good about where we're at. Any other questions? All right. I'm looking for a motion.
I move that we approve Resolution B-2026-0110.
Second.
Thank you, Any final questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of approving the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Madam President, before we move on, I would like to take a quick opportunity to thank Assistant Director and Chief Operating Officer Curtis Baumgartner for leading us through the budget process this year, as he's done for the last numerous years now. He's been a very capable leader and truly has a firm grasp on the finances of this department, and appreciate his leadership in taking care of the budget so that, you know, each of the other team members can focus on key responsibilities as well, myself included. I also want to thank the division directors that are here, you know, Jennifer, Mike, Michael, Eric as well as the division directors that are not here, because it is a team effort to develop the budget. The budget process starts usually in March or April of every year. So we're working behind the scenes to get us to this point in August, and then ultimately to the city council, which will adopt it before the end of October. But it is a team effort, and it's all of them working collaboratively, understanding their departments, working with their team members to ensure that we are making sound recommendations and also following prudent business practices to continue achieving the high cost recovery rate that we do. You know, ESC, summer camps, the Monon Community Center, and all of the recreation and facilities operations are achieving 100% cost recovery. And the 2025 budget, we finished at 74% as a department. Of course, our mandate is 100% for our enterprise funds, not for what the department as a whole is. But I always like comparing that to the national average. And the national average for park systems and cost recovery, if you take the operating revenues, all the fees that we earn from the users, and divide it by our operating expenses, including the tax dollars, or tax expenditures, excuse me, that gives you a cost recovery. And for us, that was 74%, and we're in line to do a similar percentage again this year. The national average is 27%. We do effectively the inverse of the national average. And when you look at just municipal park systems, you take out the park districts, which are their own special taxing authorities, you take out the county systems and other systems like that, the national average actually falls to 25%. So it's our team that makes that happen. It's the park board making sure that we have the resources to be able to provide services that people want to spend their discretionary time and income. It's our elected officials that provide us, again, the financial resources, and it's especially our community that supports the services that we provide. But it truly is a team effort, and I want to make sure that I take a couple seconds there, or minutes, to give the credit where the credit is due.
Appreciate that, Michael.
Michael, in my 11 and a half years, that has declined, however, that 74%. I remember being about 85% at one time.
Well, if you want to stop building parks, then that cost recovery rate won't go down as much. But when we're being tasked with managing a Japanese garden, and when we're tasked with managing Monon Boulevard that has no revenue but has expenses, our cost recovery rate as a department will continue to go down.
I think it's commendable what you've done, but it has declined.
When there's no revenue coming in to support the new amenities, the cost recovery rate will go down, even though the total revenue that we generate as a department goes up. Yeah. And of course, I mean, like I said, the enterprise functions, the community center, the water park, our after-school program, summer camps, all of our recreation programs are self-sufficient, so no tax dollars.
Yeah, I echo those sentiments, which is why I have this picture up here. This is the collective team that makes the magic happen, and I feel blessed every single day to work side by side with these folks, so they're pretty outstanding.
In the after-school and school-related things, do we have scholarships?
We do. We call them scholarships. In reality, they're fee waivers, but we do provide, well, the reports here. Every monthly, we identify what the scholarship dollars are. So think we're around 75,000 so far this year. I'm going off of memory.
The budget worksheet, Michael, also has the total that we provided in 2020.
Yeah, so we have provided 70 through the end of July for ESC and summer camps, $73,680. So, that'll be closer to 120, 140.
Yeah, last year in 2025, we provided almost $116,000 in scholarships for the ESC program and summer camp program.
Are there any kids who were turned down because of money?
Jennifer, you're probably the more appropriate person to answer that question if you want to pop up real quick.
Are you talking about for the after-school program or for our summer camp?
The programs that are student-related, which I think offer tremendous benefit to our community, but are any kids turned down?
So if we're talking about for a scholarship for the ESC program, if they receive
Jennifer, I'm sorry, wait, can you answer with the microphone? Thanks.
For our ESE program, so after-school programs, if they receive a free or reduced lunch meal waiver through Carmel Clay Schools, then they automatically will be approved for a reduced fee waiver of 45% of their fees waived. If they qualify for a free lunch, then 90% of their fees will be waived for the ESE program.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good barometer.
We're very glad to offer the scholarships, definitely.
Thank you. And thanks for everyone, for you all being here. Curtis, are you keeping them hostage for the rest of the evening, or are they able to leave?
They are able to leave if we've got all the resolutions passed. and everything.
If I may,
Oh, sorry, Jonathan, go ahead.
just wanted to echo everything Michael and Curtis has said. Having been on that side and worked alongside that team, these budgets are not easy to put together. So congratulations and keep up the good work. Jen, I was in a conversation with a mother today, and she expressed extreme gratitude for the work that ESE and summer camps are doing. She said it wouldn't be possible to raise her child without those because of, work and everything else. So she wanted me to pass that on. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we do appreciate it. You all make the magic happen, so thank you. And feel free to leave and enjoy your evening with your family as we continue our work that we do for you. Curtis, we're excited to hear about the pavers.
Let's talk about it. Thank you, Madam President. If you've been to the community center, the water park lately, you've probably noticed that the pavers that are at the primary entrances and surround the facilities are at the end of their useful life. They've settled, shifted, they've deteriorated, a little bit of everything. Predominantly because of heavy pedestrian traffic, but also because of the annual application of desalting during the winter months. And we have to keep the sidewalks and everything cleared because of potential trip and fall. So we don't really have an option to not put that de-icing salt and some of those different applications down. Just again, kind of give you a general idea of what we're looking at. This is just the status of many of the pavers. They're starting to chip and break away. We've had a lot of settling issues. So we could, raise these back up to try to make them even with the curbs. And this is an example of some really bad settling. This is kind of the roundabout in front of the west building, but some really bad settling that we've had. And then the concrete spheres, I'll talk about those a little bit as well, because you might know them as the target balls. They're just not painted, the target orange or red. I'm colorblind, so I'm not exactly sure what color. Is it red? Thank you. These effectively serve as bollards at our main entrance points. These have also started to show significant signs of deterioration. Again, as you can see in the photo, many of them are kind of in this shape. They're cracked, weathered, they've begun to shift. These can, even though there's a rebar, piece of rebar that sticks up through the middle of them, they can be shifted and rolled away, as we've found many times. So, but again, these have also reached the end of their useful life. So with those issues in mind, we engaged Y Engineers to help us develop a long-term solution or replacement solution to address both the deteriorated paving surfaces and the entrance bollards. We looked at several options. What would it take to replace and reset all the existing pavers? You know, could we replace the pavers with the stamped concrete? And what we ultimately landed on, based on the site's conditions and the long-term exposure to de-icing salts, neither of those alternatives was really expected to provide a durable or a cost-effective solution. So what we're proposing is what we think is the best long-term solution, and that is to utilize concrete. And we can use different applications just to, you know, depending upon their location within the site. Particularly in front of the west building and east building, we would use a colored concrete and a decorative joint just to give it, you know, some texture and make it look a little bit more appealing. This is the entrance to the east building and kind of how it would be shaped. And then in the remaining areas, these would just be, this would just be concrete to match the existing concrete pathway that already exists. The project also includes replacement of the deteriorated concrete spheres at the main entrances, and we really evaluated two alternates for that. One was to utilize a limestone block, kind of like what we have out at Jill Proman Pavilion. What we found is that this is durable, it's maintenance free, we don't really have to mess with it aesthetically. It looks really nice. And again, it's held up very well. It doesn't require any maintenance. The alternate two was basically to replace those spheres with a decorative planter similar to those that you'll see like along Monon Boulevard. But that would require a lot of upkeep, including seasonal planting and some different things. We got at alternate two because I wasn't quite sure what the limestone bid was going to come back at. And I wanted to make sure that we had an option to replace the spheres, because the last thing we wanted to do was replace all of those pavers and then have to put the spheres back in place. It wouldn't have been a great choice. We did have to solicit this project for public bid. We did receive 4 bids. Mattingly Concrete, who we work with on a regular basis, submitted the lowest responsive and responsible bid at $313,158.89. This was for all of the pavers and putting the limestone blocks in place. So it was at alternate 1. We would not utilize at alternate 2. This was a $129,000. This bid was more than $129,000 less than the second lowest bid. And based on the recommendation from Y, we are recommending approving Mattingly Concrete for the base bid and at alternate 1. If approved, our hope is that we would start construction sometime after Labor Day, when we're not quite as busy, because we are going to have the water park open until Labor Day. But we do plan to have this complete sometime before the end of October, before we get into our busy and, end of season rush that we typically get right before the holidays. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Curtis, I think you understated the deterioration. It started on day 1 prior to installation.
I've heard that.
And the concrete spheres rolling down into the street have always been a great pleasure for me to see in the morning.
I believe one of these has made it to 111th and College, if memory serves me right.
Mm-hmm. So this should have happened. This should have never been built this way. So I'm very happy that we're moving forward to a solution. So to expand on this, is this just in front of the building and the water park?
Every paver that we have would be replaced with this. So around the
Side as well?
Around the building where, outside of the main entry points. The main entry points will have this kind of this decorative look. The other areas will be filled in with regular concrete and
How
won't be
about the
colored.
deck?
The back deck, the patio on the east building, that will remain. That has some pavers within it that are not the same type as this.
No, it has an asphalt bed underneath the
Correct,
pavers.
and that's why they haven't shifted, so they're fine. There are some pavers that are the red pavers that are deteriorating back there that will be replaced, kind of in the middle of the ones that are on the asphalt bed. But that's one of the things that we looked at, was replacing all of the pavers, putting a concrete base down, a layer of asphalt, and then resetting them. But it was going to be astronomical, way more
Well,
than
you
this.
still end up with the same problem if you sold it.
Yeah, and then you guys, the park department would face the same problem 20 years from now. Maybe not the settling, but at least replacing of the pavers from.
When we were actually in designing the building, I know Michael remembers this was an argument point that staff had with the architects and the board about function and design, because functionally, this has never worked
Yeah,
properly.
they're currently set on a sand base, and so, I mean, it constantly requires resetting, and, I mean, it's a never-ending battle. And then when you start to factor in the deterioration from the de-icing and, applications that we have to put down and the bricks breaking and stuff, it's time to do something different.
So if you go with concrete that's been colored,
Yes.
what's the plan when we have to replace sections of the concrete because we'll not be able to match the coloring?
It won't match perfect, but because of the way that we're kind of doing the smaller patterns, it shouldn't be near as noticeable as what you would have. I mean, anytime you're replacing concrete, it's not going to match 100%, but Mattingly does pretty good work, so I'm pretty confident that they could get something to be pretty close. If you go out to West Park and look at that limestone scramble, it's hard to tell, but there are actually there's concrete intertwined with that, and they basically did a color match and all of that.
Okay. And then is 2 foot by 2 foot large enough for those?
That's what we have at JPP. It's approximately the same size where the bollards are located, so.
What's along the drive, Central Park Drive?
Those are
bigger, aren't they?
I think the height is 2 foot, but they're longer.
Okay.
I think they're like 2 foot by 6 foot.
So these will be smaller, more like the balls, but not rolling.
Correct.
Cool.
Any more questions for Curtis? If I don't hear any questions, I will take a motion. Oh, there's 2 long motions, Curtis.
I had to mess with you guys a little bit, so.
You channeled.
You got those easy resolution ones, so I wrote some longer ones for you.
Madam President, I move that we authorize the base bid and alternate 1 from Mattingly Concrete and award a contract in the amount of $313,158.89 for demolition and construction services associated with the MCC paver project, and authorize the director, the assistant director, and the Park Board legal counsel to take all actions necessary to complete the contracting process. And I further move that the park board delegate to the park director and assistant director the authority to determine, in conjunction with the engineer, whether it is in the best interest of the board and department to add or change any item or items in the contract with Mattingly Concrete, and to approve such change order in an amount not to exceed his purchasing authority in accordance with the applicable Indiana law regarding change orders, with a report and ratification by the park board at a subsequent meeting.
The park board attorney loves me right now. We do have, I wanted to,
Second.
All right, one last call for questions. All those in favor of Jonathan's motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Great job. All right, moving on to the next one. Curtis is, Eric, I apologize. Consideration of bids for White River Greenway North Extension Streetscape. Eric.
Thank you. Yeah, we're sharing the load tonight, so you don't have to listen to the same person talk the entire 2.5 hours. So I'll give Curtis a little bit of a break. And my motion is way shorter for you. So for this one, this is another one of the city's 2024 infrastructure bond projects. So that's where the funding is coming from. But for your consideration is awarding a contract, a construction contract for our White River Greenway North Trail Extension Streetscape project. So this was a priority of both the department, but also the city council as well, to ensure that when we put in the north extension, that there is some kind of landscape buffer between where the trail is and River Road. So this is basically to accomplish that. So there's a section of the trail that, due to the easement agreement that we have with Connor Prairie, where it's going across their property, where the trail comes away from the river and moves closer to River Road right there at Cherry Creek Boulevard, at that roundabout there, and extends all the way up to 146th Street. So that section of trail is a lot closer to the road than we would like it to be, but that's how we got the trail all the way up to 146th Street. And so what we want to do is create that landscape buffer in between, to keep the aesthetics of the trail experience versus just a normal kind of perimeter path type feeling. So we solicited bids for that project and had two responses to that, to placing that out there. We opened those bids on July 14th, and Williams Creek Management Corporation submitted the lowest responsive and responsible bid of $251,621.17. We additionally put out there 2 ad alternates for this project. So on top of the landscaping, we also asked them to provide us pricing on a maintenance package, a 3-year maintenance package, to kind of take a little bit of load off of our PNR team, as well as a watering type of package, so that they would keep everything watered and nice. Those ad alternates came back a little bit higher than what we wanted, so we're actually looking at rejecting the 2 ad alternates and just going with the base bid for each of those. And we're going to look at potentially contracting out and doing some things internally, completely separate on any of the maintenance that we need on that landscaping. So what we're looking for tonight is the board to approve the base bid contract to Williams Creek Management Corporation in that amount. And again, that will be funded through the city's infrastructure bond program. Happy to answer any questions.
One other item with the recommended motion, at the time you're ready to consider that, I would also request that you grant the director or assistant director, in consultation with the engineer, authority to issue change orders.
Mr. Garrettson.
I move that the park board accept the bid from Williams Creek Management Corporation and authorize the department to enter into an agreement in the amount of $251,621.17 for the White River Greenway North Trail Extension Streetscape Project. And do I need to add what you just said?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that we give permission to the director and assistant director to make changes as necessary.
Up to his purchasing authority in conjunction with the legal counsel.
And that.
I wouldn't mind if you just said the director can sign it also.
And the director can sign it also.
Whatever she says.
Second.
Any last questions? All right. All those in favor of Mr. Garrettson's motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thanks, Eric. Moving on to our consideration of resolution for approving the scope of work. Mr. Klitzing.
Madam President, thank you very much. Tonight, we're asking consideration of Resolution B 2026-0011, which will approve the scope of work and guaranteed maximum price for construction of Bear Creek Park, and basically finalize authorization of the build, operate, transfer agreement. As you recall, for this project, we're doing a little bit different. Traditionally, the Park Board has always done design, bid, and then build. So we're doing everything more in-house. In this particular one, we chose a public-private partnership to facilitate the final design and construction of Bear Creek Park. The team that was selected, the Inman and DLZ, was recommended by a review committee that was approved by the board. And over the last several months since that authorization occurred in January, we've been working with the design and construction team to finalize the scope, make sure that it's in line with our budget. And tonight we're recommending the resolution that will basically allow us to move forward and sets the guaranteed maximum price at $7,884,795, which is exactly our budget and is consistent with what the proposals that we originally received from the Build, Operate, Transfer team. As we've been going through the scoping process, which is basically looking at the initial designs that we had as part of the request for proposals and qualifications for each of the teams to consider. We've been honing in on that to understand, based on current market conditions, what is practical for the construction of the park, keeping in mind the master plan that was approved by the park board previously, as well as the plans that were included in an RFPQ. And we've come on with the team, and we've got representatives from DLZ, Lori Johnson, as well as Jonathan Mooney, who have been really great in working with us, as well as the team from Thieneman, to come up with what we're presenting to you tonight. Basically, we've stayed true to that plan, and there are some minor tweaks just reflecting, the realities of site conditions and the current market, but the big picture is exactly where we want it to be, and it has been a truly collaborative team process to get here. The things that were most important, what we were striving for is, of course, the scenic overlook to provide us the views over the valley towards the west. That is exactly the same as what we want. I mean, the location, the function of that is there, the elevated boardwalk to get up to it. The location for the playground, it shifted a little bit west, but what that's allowed us to do is, we believe, preserve a few more trees, which we view as a good thing. It includes 2 different sports courts, multi-use courts, which will include basketball and an assortment of other types of activities that's really designed for the smaller kids. We also do include a pickleball court, 2 courts actually. We ended up shifting that a little bit west. Part of that is because that's our safety release. We believe everything that's on this plan will be constructible based on the dollar, but again, once the team bids it out, there's always opportunities that things might come in differently than what we would hope. So that is our safety valve, and one of the items that would be the first in cut if ultimately the bids dictate. The play experience, again, is there. That's actually not part of the scope. We are, as a park board, purchasing that separately so that we are not paying a markup on it and get exactly what we want, but the location for that is provided. Of course, the parking lot, the continuation of Bear Creek Greenway from Shelburne, effectively providing a connection over from where it exists already on the east side of Shelburne, through the park, across the creek, and into the play area. And then the parking lot, it's been slightly shifted a little bit, one, to make sure that we're outside the required setbacks under city ordinance, and also it's, I think, better positioned for the future building that will ultimately be constructed on the site to support more summer camps and recreational programming. Zooming in a little bit more, you can kind of see those different components, as well as the location of where the building could be envisioned. The layout is what's consistent with what was in the master plan. I think practicality will say that it'll maybe be shifted a little bit as far as the floor plan, but the location for a roughly 6,000 to 8,000 square foot facility is available there. Probably the biggest change compared to what we were originally envisioning, and this was based on the cost of constructing what was originally called the parent perch and the restrooms that were integrated into the pathway, that was really significantly driving up costs for this project. And as we had more and more conversations with the design team, with It was up when I was looking, and
Let's try that again.
so originally, the plans included basically the restroom and the community shelter would have been integrated into the pathway going up to the overlook. What we ultimately did is make that a standalone structure. What we did is make that a standalone structure so that it makes it more cost-effective to construct, keeps the restrooms in the same general area, puts the community shelter, instead of having people on a elevated area further away from the kids, it puts them right next to the playground, which we think from a parent and guardian standpoint works much better. And additionally, the way the restroom structure is set, it provides better storage for our team, so it provides more accessibility for us. So from a functionality standpoint, we think that it actually is an improvement on the design and a more cost-effective, not only for construction, but for long-term maintenance. Again, the overlook, the location of that stayed at effectively the same place, and the design is effectively the same. So we're very excited about that because that will be our signature feature for this park. As well as, again, the restrooms. I've always talked about this being Pacific Northwest, so we've stayed true with the architectural style of Pacific Northwest and tried to continue those themes. One of the things that we're doing here, too, is we're basically expanding upon the stock restroom, not stock because we custom build them, but the standard restrooms that we've been putting in parks like Flowing Well and Cary Grove and Meadowlark Park, where there we've had 2 stalls. And this one based on especially the experiences that we've had at Meadowlark Park, which is one of our busiest parks now. We do not anticipate 2 stalls being enough for this particular park. So we're adding a 3rd one, which resulted in a little bit design alteration, but functionally it'll work very similar to our other restrooms. So we think that's a good thing and probably a model that we will use as we build subsequent restrooms. Additionally, the restroom is where we'll integrate the community shelter. We use the term community shelter to be the unreservable shelter within the park. At Westermeyer Commons, the one next to the restroom, that's where parents and families tend to hang up. Each of our parks have a similar function. So again, playing with the roof lines with it, this is representative. We're still tweaking those a little bit, but it gives the feel for what we're looking for with that. And then, like I said, this isn't part of the guaranteed maximum price for this particular project, but I do want to assure that the playground that I previously showed you still plugs in to what we had before. As you can see, when we compared the design from sort of original visions that we showed, a lot of the things remain the same. This is effectively in a similar area. We've got the 2 courts. We just sort of spread them apart. The parking has functioned a little bit better. The tower looks effectively the same. And then sort of back to back, you can tell that we've stayed really true to the design intent, but taking into consideration the dollars that are available. So with that, we do recommend approval. Again, we've got members of the design team, so if there's more design-specific questions, they're here to help support me in answering those. But I'd be happy to address any questions that the Park Board has and recommend approval of a very simple motion to approve a resolution.
Do we have any questions for Michael or our design team as we look at this? Oh, sorry, Mr. Westermeyer.
Who did the playground design?
The playground design actually was by Landscape Structures.
Okay, I thought it was, from the looks of it. Are we still moving trees there?
We are going to be removing some of the trees, but one of the things
We're
that
not
we,
going to try and relocate the trees?
not to the degree that we were before, because we found that to be very cost inefficient.
Oh, nonsensical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be another way to say it.
Okay. Okay. And you're happy with the way this has progressed so far?
I am. It truly has been a collaborative experience. I really have appreciated working with DLZ. They've been as good, if not better, than any team that I've worked with from a design standpoint of listening to the feedback that staff's provided. You know, they've taken the master plan that we had and, you know, the refined documents that we had from Smith Group, and have really strived to stay true to that. You know, brought some of their ideas of how we can bring it in budget, but stay true to what the park board envisioned with the master plan and what staff hopes to achieve with this. So I'm really pleased with the process so far.
I don't know that we've ever had a Smith Group project that didn't have some budget engineering done. Beautiful designs. I remember a bridge that was multi-million dollars because it curved,
Yep.
that got out, but the design is always superb, and it looks like the adjustments have been great too.
Yeah,
So-
I think it's still going to be a very superb park and one that we all can be very proud of.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael.
Katie?
Has there been any adjustments to the shade?
So you're not seeing the shade components in here. That will be as part of the playground design, and we've had conversations with DLZ. So that's not reflected in this high, sort of pretty picture version, but it is something that is front and center and will be incorporated into the plans.
There's never enough shade. There can't be enough shade. Always more shade.
No, we definitely heard that loud and clear, so yes.
Awesome. Any other questions? Thank you for that. I will take a motion.
I move to approve Resolution B-2026-011.
Second.
Thank you, Kristen and Katie. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries. I believe that is the last of our new business.
For the record, I like Michael's motion the most of tonight.
Yes. I agree. Okay.
I wrote that one.
Thank you very much, and then thank you for being here. We appreciate that. Thank you. Old business, I see no old business.
No old business for the park board to consider tonight.
Perfect. Attorney's report, Mr. Bosma.
Just briefly touch on a few things. Got plenty of contracting going on with professionals, including the team before you. We'll be working on that in the coming weeks. We've been working with your staff on a couple of real estate opportunities, and due diligence for those, and contracting for those. We've been working with your staff and your insurer on a tort claim notice related to an injury that occurred at the water park. We're working through that. Those are probably the high points. We did the recording of the easement for the Odom Park was more difficult than you might imagine because the documents were not electronic. So we ultimately solved that with the help of Near North Title Group. So that easement for the multi-use trail and the management agreement are fully executed and out and recorded where necessary. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Bosma. Any questions? All right. Seeing none, we'll move to director's report. Michael?
For the director's report, I provided a written copy that's in front of you tonight. I will also email you one so that you have it for your reference. Probably two items that I would like to highlight, sort of staying on the Bear Creek theme. We are going to start the process to identify and seek proposals from architectural firms to begin design of the program pavilion in Bear Creek Park that's identified in the master plan. Our goal is to fund definitely all of the design work and likely most, if not all, of the construction of this proposed facility with accumulated reserves from the summer camp program. Again, one of the things that we're most proud of with the Jill Perlman Pavilion is that most of the cost of the construction of that building that is designed and was built purposely to house summer camps was funded by summer camps. And we're proposing that we use a similar model for construction of the new pavilion in Bear Creek Park. So as we continue to move forward with the phase one design of opening the park, we'll begin the design process once we select, and I'm sure we'll have to, the dollar amounts will require us to bring it to the park board for approval. But I wanted to let you know that we're starting that process, and you know, one of our design teams is hearing it for the first time tonight as well, so they will be invited as well. A second thing that I want to note is August is a special month for Carmel Clay Parks and Recreation. On August 20th, 1991, the first joinder agreement, now called an interlocal cooperation agreement, was executed between the City of Carmel and Clay Township, creating the park system. So next week, we will be, throughout the entire week, celebrating our 35th anniversary. And our marketing and communications team has a program and planned social media posts that will be occurring, encouraging our community to help us celebrate by sharing pictures and stories of memories they've made in our park. So we also invite those members of the park board that are on any of the social media channels to also share your stories and photos that you may have to help us in that celebration. Our staff will be throughout the week having different themes that our culture committee has created to help bring awareness to the 35th anniversary and celebrate that. I know the one that Curtis is most looking forward to is the Division Wars, where each division will be wearing different colors to show their spirit, sort of reckoning back to the early days of the Monon Community Center when the different areas had their own shirts. So fortunately, it's only for one day and then it's over. And then also, I would like to, I know it's sort of later notice, but next Tuesday, August 18th at 10 a.m., we will be having sort of a team celebration of our 35th anniversary. Representative Victoria Garcia Wilburn, which is one of the representatives that covers a portion of Carmel, will be reading and celebrating with our team House Resolution 40, which was passed earlier this year, celebrating our 35th anniversary. So we're excited to have her there. And then we have a guest inspiring speaker to rally up the team. So if you're available, you're welcome to join us. You're certainly not required to, but I did want to extend that invitation. And then later this year, our next edition of Park Conversations, which is the magazine that we distributed through the Current and Carmel, we're doing a special edition that really is focused on the parks. So there'll be stories and information about most of the parks and some quotes from users of the parks as well. So that'll be an addition that I think will become a little bit of a collectible and also a great marketing tool for us, so that if people want to know what parks we have, we'll have an actual handout in addition to the webpage for people to learn about our various parks. So all things that we're excited about and incredibly honored to be part of the storied history of Carmel Clay Parks and Recreation, and to be stewards of this incredible park system within a community that truly supports us. So with that, I'd be happy to address any questions you may have.
Thank you, Michael. That's great. Any questions? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to the information items. Plan Commission, Jonathan?
Yeah, really the only thing I wanted to share with everybody this evening is on August 18th at 6 PM, the Plan Commission will be holding a public hearing as required under HEA or House Enrolled Act 1001. This is required for all communities that have planning and zoning to look at policies and zoning requirements to identify if there's any potential barriers to affordable housing, looking at, different housing types. So we are going to be conducting that public hearing as required by the law on the 18th at 6 PM in City Hall. By January 1 of 2027, we have to have a housing report submitted. So we'll be working on that or staff will be working on that in the coming months. And there will be additional meetings at some point if changes are needed. So just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. Other than that, meetings have been pretty quick recently, just a couple minor commercial type developments.
Okay, thanks for that update. Any questions for Jonathan? Okay. Kristen, school board?
School starts tomorrow for the 2026-27 school year, so first day of ESE for our kids. And I have the ESE spring parent survey results from Jennifer to share with the board at our meeting in 2 weeks.
Perfect, thank you. And then everyone should be careful for those bus riders tomorrow and the buses. Environmental Stewardship Committee. Eric?
Thank you. I gave my quarterly report to City Council last Monday. So as chair for that committee, and I shared with them that so there's 43 different standards within the Climate Action Plan that the committee is tasked with trying to help the city address. And so over the past couple of years, we've tried to focus in on about 8 or 9 standards within that we kind of felt were achievable with not a lot of budget, but also things that just the different department areas could kind of focus in on. And all of these standards just take a lot of time for the city to really make meaningful change. And so during our last meeting that we had, we actually started discussing taking a couple of those initiatives off because they have made some pretty significant movement towards achieving those goals. Some of them have to do with the city's ability to do some composting programs and some drought-resistant landscaping policies, changing some of the language within their fleet management plan to address using EVs, hydrogen vehicles, and things. So we've started to make some actual progress on a couple things. So it feels good to kind of see that over at least the number of years that I've been on the committee, starting to move the needle a little bit on a couple of those initiatives. So we're going to start taking a couple of those off and substituting with them with a couple new action items. One of which being there's an initiative to create a zero waste event policy. So trying to get the city on board with their own events being zero waste, but then also then having a citywide policy that if people are putting in permit requests to have events within the city, that we have some policies in place that try to make those events as zero waste as physically possible. So that'll take us some time, I think, to flush out, because that's I think a pretty big, kind of initiative, but would be kind of cool to kind of see that come to fruition as well. So we're going to kind of add that onto as one of our initiatives, kind of help the city see if we can get something written into policy. So there you go.
Pretty awesome. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Park Foundation.
I talked to Carrie this week. We had a brief meeting on the results of the fun run that was put on behalf of the foundation, and it was successful. Not quite as many participants as last year, but enough that I think the foundation will continue forward with it for a third year and see where it goes, maybe with a few tweaks if we work with some of the park staff on to make it a little bit more interesting than just what it is. So.
Okay. Well, thanks for that. I'll open it up for park board comments or discussion. Any? All right. Seeing none, I will take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Perfect. Thank you. I will call the meeting over at 7:48. Thanks, everyone.
Jonathan?